There comes a point in life when you realize something uncomfortable. The peace you thought you were keeping was costing you more than the conflict ever would have. For years, maybe decades, you stayed quiet. You adjusted. You explained yourself. You absorbed comments, moods, tension. You told yourself it was maturity. You told yourself it was love. You told yourself this is just how families are. But now, something feels different. You're not angry. You're not dramatic. You're just tired. And that quiet exhaustion is often the first sign that your boundaries have been stretched too far. After 60, especially, time feels more real. Energy feels more valuable. You start asking a question you never asked before. Is this relationship adding to my life, or slowly draining it? That question changes everything. 1. Disrespect, disguised as humor. It rarely starts as cruelty. It starts as jokes, comments, little digs at family gatherings, observations about your choices, your appearance, your retirement plans, your marriage, your lifestyle. When you were younger, you laughed along. You didn't want to make it awkward. You didn't want to be too sensitive. So you played your part. But over time, those jokes stop feeling funny. They start feeling familiar. And that familiarity is the problem. When someone repeatedly uses humor to diminish you, they're not bonding with you. They're testing your tolerance. And every time you pretend it doesn't bother you, you quietly teach them that it's acceptable. After a certain age, you no longer want to belong at the cost of your dignity. Real closeness doesn't require you to shrink. 2. Emotional guilt and obligation. This one is more subtle and often more painful. It shows up in phrases like, "After everything I've done for you, you've changed. You don't care the way you used to. Suddenly, you're responsible for someone else's emotional stability." This dynamic is common in families. It can show up with siblings, aging parents, even adult children. The expectation isn't spoken directly, but it's understood. Your job is to maintain harmony, even if it costs you. But here's what maturity eventually teaches you. You can love someone without managing their emotions for them. You can care deeply and still say no. Choosing yourself doesn't make you selfish. It makes you responsible for your own well-being. And that responsibility becomes more important as you age, not less. 3. Constant negativity. Some people carry tension into every room. Every conversation becomes criticism. Every update turns into complaint. Every gathering circles back to what's wrong. You leave those interactions feeling heavier than when you arrived. When you were younger, maybe you tried to fix it. You offered advice. You played mediator. You tried to lighten the mood. Eventually, you realize something simple. You cannot build peace with someone who thrives on chaos. Prolonged exposure to negativity shapes your own thinking. You become more reactive, more guarded, more anxious. And at this stage in life, protecting your mental environment becomes essential. Distance doesn't always mean conflict. Sometimes it simply means choosing fewer hours in draining spaces. 4. Refusal to take accountability. Patterns matter more than apologies. There are people who always have a reason. When they hurt you, they explain. When you bring up a repeated issue, they deflect. When something goes wrong, it's never their fault. In earlier years, you might argue. You might try to reason with them. With age comes observation. You stop listening to promises and start watching behavior. If nothing changes after repeated conversations, you accept what you're seeing. Forgiveness is meaningful. But forgiveness without change creates access without responsibility. Sometimes the healthiest move is not another discussion. It's a quiet adjustment in how much access they have to you. 5. Hidden competition. This one can be especially painful within families. You expect support, encouragement, pride. Instead, you sense something else, a subtle shift when you share good news, a backhanded compliment, A quick subject change when you speak about something meaningful. It's not always obvious, but it's there. Not everyone who smiles wants you to thrive. Often, your growth reminds someone else of what they avoided or regret. And instead of confronting their own discomfort, they redirect it toward you. You don't have to expose it. You don't have to confront it. Awareness is enough. You begin moving differently. You share selectively. You protect what matters, not out of secrecy, but out of wisdom. 6. Dismissal of your feelings. Being told you're overreacting. Being told you're too sensitive. Being told you're imagining things. Over time, that erodes trust in yourself. And when you stop trusting your own emotional signals, you lose your internal compass. After decades of experience, you've earned the right to trust your discomfort. If something repeatedly feels wrong, that feeling deserves attention. Emotional awareness is not weakness, it's data. When someone constantly invalidates your feelings, they aren't strengthening the relationship. They're weakening your connection to yourself. Rebuilding that trust becomes one of the most important tasks of later adulthood. Strength changes shape as you get older. It no longer looks like endurance. It looks like discernment. You stop asking how to keep everyone comfortable and start asking what allows you to feel steady. Family does not automatically mean safe. It means shared history. It means familiarity. But familiarity is not protection. Love is not measured by how much tension you tolerate. It's measured by how safe, respected, and seen you feel. And if those qualities are consistently absent, stepping back is not cruelty. It's clarity. Calm distance is not bitterness. You don't need dramatic exits. You don't need speeches or ultimatums. Growth often looks like smaller changes, shorter visits, less emotional investment, fewer explanations, clearer limits. The absence of resentment is often the clearest sign that a decision was made from wisdom, not anger. Some relationships naturally shift as you evolve, not because of conflict, but because of alignment. Not everyone is meant to walk with you through every season of your life. Peace is discipline. Peace is not passive. It requires choosing calm over chaos repeatedly. It requires saying no without rehearsing a defense. It requires walking away from cycles that no longer serve you. And here's something many people discover later in life. The people most upset by your boundaries were often benefiting from your lack of them. When access changes, reactions reveal the structure of the relationship. That clarity can feel uncomfortable, but it's freeing. At a certain point, you begin valuing stability more than approval. You stop measuring love by endurance. You start measuring it by emotional safety. Your reactions slow down. You feel less pulled into arguments. You become less dependent on validation. You stop carrying what was never yours to hold. That shift isn't dramatic. It's steady. And if you've been questioning whether it's okay to step back, to protect your time, to choose peace over obligation, let this be your reassurance. You are not required to accept behavior that erodes your dignity. Not from strangers, not from friends, not even from family. Protecting your peace is not rebellion, it's responsibility. And if this message resonates with you, I'm grateful you're here. Truly. These conversations matter, especially at this stage of life. Let me ask you gently, have your priorities around peace changed as you've gotten older? I'd love to hear your thoughts.